Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all your gifts and our wonderful lives here in serving the Cherokee people. We ask that you give us divine thoughts and always doing the best for our citizens. We are truly honored to serve as Cherokee Tribal Counselors. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Counselor Vasquez. At this time, we will call this meeting to order. Shelley?
Yes, sir. Buell Anglin. Keith Austin.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Joe Bird.
Ani?
Sean Crittenden.
Ani.
Mike Dobbins.
Here.
Kanan Duncan.
Ani.
Wanda Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Mike Shambaugh.
Here.
Mary Bakershaw. E.O. Smith.
Ani.
Janice Taylor. Here. Victoria Vasquez. David Walkenstick. Brian Warner. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Shelley. At this time, I'd entertain approval of the minutes.
Make a motion they be approved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. State of the Nation by Principal Chief Mr. Bill John Baker.
OCO, and March is already here. We had a very successful School Appreciation Day where we distributed over $5.7 million to over 100 public schools around the 14 counties. The superintendents were of good spirit and seemed to enjoy that day very, very well, and the checks they went home, they were telling of what good it was going to do to education of our children around the 14 counties. Thanks to our natural resource team for working with Nissan on a recent test drive event here at the complex, and a unique purchase offer for the electric cars for all Cherokee Nation citizens, an extra $11,000 discount, and anybody that wanted to could test drive one of their new electric cars. We want to encourage folks to follow the Cherokee Nation social media to keep track of our Women's History Month campaign and learn about both historic and modern Cherokee women who have made an important impact not only within our tribe but across our country. Looking forward, we will be returning to the Smithsonian Museum of the American Indian in Washington, D.C. in April for the annual Cherokee Days event that will be held April 12th through 14th. And finally, we will be in Kansas City and Wichita this weekend for the at-large meetings, and anybody that can make it, more than welcome. But it's always a good time with our citizens up in the Kansas area. At this point, we will go into the portion of the State of the Nation where we list off those Cherokees that were with us last month but are not with us this month. And then we'll ask for others and a moment of silence. First one, Lenora Allen of Nowata, Sammy Butter of Jay, Johnny Canoe of Collinsville, Margaret Cummins of Pryor, Lloyd Dry of Pryor, Pamela Udy of Dewey, Karen Fragile of Tahlequah, Ricky Hill of Nowata, Chester Hulls of Grove, Melvin Kingfisher of Pryor, Ruth Lee of Salisaw, Gary LaForce of Muskogee, Larry Matlock of Stillwell, Deanna McIntosh of Sapulpa, Betty Nash of Collinsville, William Peoples of Sperry, Dennis Ramsey of Veneta, Maurice Ray of Siloam Springs, Billy Riddle of Salisaw, Karen Shipley of Tulsa, Christine Smith of Miami, Sammy Smith of Stillwell, David Sobin of Tahlequah, Mark Stevens of Muskogee, Brenda Wilson of Skytook, Nathan Hubbard of Hulbert, Mark Young of Hulbert, and Danny Benson, White Killer of Tahlequah. Are there others? Keith?
Michael Humler, age 20, of Chelsea, and Leon Ray of Claremont.
Okay.
Ms. Jolie Faulkner of Anita.
Charlotte Keener, Ponca City, and Lee Summit, Missouri.
David Soap, Nycut, Oklahoma.
Okay. If we could have a moment of silence for these. Well, do that finishes the State of the Nation.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, the Cherokee Warrior Veterans Awards from our Deputy Chief, S. Joe Critton.
That's the first one. Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Council, guests, employees, staff, friends, and wonderful veterans. We have 5 veterans to honor this evening. And our first veteran tonight, and I would like for Speaker, you to come up, and also Mary Baker Shaw, please come up. We sang happy birthday to this veteran a while ago, and we want to honor him tonight with the Warrior Award and the Medal of Patriotism. Mr. Amon Baker, would you come forward, sir? Mr. Baker was 18 years old when he joined the Navy in 1944. Mr. Baker, when you joined the Navy in 1944, that was my birth year. So that goes back a ways. He was sent to Farragut, Idaho before he was deployed for overseas duty. Mr. Baker was then stationed aboard the USS Taconic Bay, an escort aircraft carrier. Mr. Baker returned to the States after a year of duty to Bremerton, Washington, where he was honorably discharged from the Navy as a petty officer, 2nd class, in 1946. He served as a tribal councilman under Chief Swimmer and Mankiller, and also has served on the Sequoia School Board for the past 35 years. The decorations and medals and ribbons: he has the World War II American Theater Ribbon, the World War II Victory Medal, the World War II Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal. And Mr. Baker, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, sir, for your service to this country.
Amen. If you go active duty, you can put that on your uniform.
Go right here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Come on, Talia. We can have take pictures of your dog here.
Oh, here he's coming.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Amen. Thank you for your service. Would you like to say anything?
Thank you.
Well, I'm just very proud of the Cherokee Nation, folks. Kind of hard.
Next.
Our next veteran this evening is Mr. George M. Green. Would you come forward, sir? Keith Austin, I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Green was drafted in 1953 and reported to Arkansas and then sent to Washington State. He deployed to South Korea with the 13th Field Artillery. Mr. Green spent 1 year in Korea. He returned to Washington State and was honorably discharged as a private first class in 1955. Decorations, medals, ribbons, and badges: the Korean Service Medal, United Nations Service Medal, the Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal. Mr. Green, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, sir, for your service to this country.
I wondered why you were holding the microphone.
I was told to, that's why. Let's see.
All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Mr. Green, would you like to say anything, or do you have family you want to come?
Absolutely.
Come down. Come on. Sorry about that. Get in there and hook up to him. There you go.
He was like my son.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Now, Mr. Green, would you like to say anything?
I'm proud that I've got some Cherokee blood in me.
Well, we are too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kenneth Paddock.
Yeah. For our next three veterans, I need the at-large counsel, Mary Baker Shaw and Wanda. Would you come down, please? And no, but they're going to help us honor the next three veterans. And our next veteran this evening is Kenneth L. Haddock. Kenneth, would you come forward? Mr. Haddock enlisted in the Air Force in 1960 before the Vietnam War. He was sent to Keesler Air Force Base and became a heavy ground radio equipment repairman. Mr. Haddock was assigned to the 216 4th Command Squadron, Royal Air Force, Brentwaters, Woodridge, England. Mr. Haddock returned stateside and was honorably discharged as an Airman First Class in 1964. His decorations, medals, and ribbons: the Air Force Good Conduct Medal. Mr. Haddock, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you, sir, for your service to this country.
And family. Mr. Haddock, would you like to say anything?
Well, I would like to thank you for the award and the honor, and it's a pleasure being here.
Well, we thank you for your service.
Our next veteran this evening is Gerald L. Richardson. Come forward, sir. Let me make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Is it Richardson? Yes. All right. Mr. Richardson enlisted in the Army in 2000, was trained at Fort Lee, Virginia as a unit supply specialist. He was transferred to headquarters at Camp Stanley, South Korea for a year, then returned to the States and was discharged. In 2003, Mr. Richardson was re-enlisted and was deployed to Camp Arifjan, Kuwait, stationed at Camp Virginia, Kuwait, in preparation for advancement into Iraq. Iraq was in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Mr. Richardson returned stateside and was honorably discharged in 2004 as an E4 sergeant. Decorations, medals, ribbons, and badges: Army Achievement Medal, 2nd Award, National Defense Service Medal, 2nd Award, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Korea Defense Service Medal, and the Army Service Ribbon. And Mr. Richardson, on behalf of a grateful nation, sir, thank you for your service to this country.
John, won't you come on down too, since he's one of your proud employees?
Absolutely.
And in family? Yeah. Come on.
Do you want to bring a phone or something?
John, I think you could still post that. I really do.
Just stand there.
If you're not too tall, just stand right there in front.
There you go, there you go. All right. Right here on 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm so sorry.
And would you like to say anything, sir? Short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
Thank you, sir.
And our 5th veteran tonight to be recognized and awarded the medal and the Warrior Award is Mr. Philip H. Viles, Jr. Philip, would you come forward? Mr. Viles volunteered in the Air Force ROTC in 1964 to 68. Then he was ordered to report to North Dakota, where he spent 2 years in radar and radio maintenance. That's the second one that's worked on radios. I was a radio operator, so you all helped us out, you know. Mr. Viles, last year in the Air Force, was deployed to Pleiku, Vietnam in 1971 to 72, where he was an advisor to South Vietnamese forces. Mr. Viles returned stateside and was honorably discharged as a captain. Decorations and medals, ribbons, and badges: Vietnam Service Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Vietnam Campaign Medal with 1 Bronze Star, Air Force Longevity Service Award, Armed Forces Honors Medal, First Class, National Defense Service Medal. And sir, on behalf of a grateful nation, I want to thank you for your service to this country.
And your bride? Phillips, would you like to say anything?
I thank the nation for this award. I'm very grateful to the people I served with, and I particularly want to remember those who did not return. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker.
Good job, guys. 5, that's the most we've had other than the 13 we had that one night that somebody sneaked in on us. I think Canaan pulled that off before he got elected. Okay, action of unfinished business, have none pending. Committee reports, none. Monthly reports. Cherokee Nation business, our CEO, Mr. Sean Slayton.
Good evening. I want to compliment our employees on the first 4 months of our fiscal year, which runs from October through September. And through January 31st, we were $8.7 million ahead of last year. C&E was up $3 million, and diversified businesses was up 3.6. That's a great job, and that's especially great considering fighting the government shutdown and also the delay in issuing the tax returns to individuals. Historically, our best months are January, February, and March, and this year that's going to be delayed. February will be a little soft on the gaming side as the tax returns are just now being circulated and showing up at the casino for our staycations, we call them. Proud of our group for opening Track 5. It's a great offering. It's been well received, and congratulations to them. Tahlequah is progressing. We're looking forward to a May 1st opening, and then a May 15th grand opening, hosting one of the Bassmasters fishing events at Lake Fort Gibson, and then the weigh-in back here at the plaza after the 3 p.m. cutoff. The demo on the OSU Cherokee Medical School has begun. Looking forward to seeing that completed and the construction starting. Midsummer will be the Wilma P. Demo and rebuild. And the Saline Courthouse is continuing to progress. Just a couple of other short notes. Live thoroughbred racing at WRD returns March 25th. We're looking forward to a great offering there. And we're happy and proud to announce that OCO, Voices of the Cherokee People, has been selected to screen their short films at several major film festivals throughout the year. So with that, I'll conclude and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our CEO? Yes, Councilor Crittenden.
Yeah. Yes, Sean, I'd been in contact with Chris Moody. C&I have about 20 employees. They were getting write-ups due to a computer system, and I learned more about it. They got me some information on it. Had a supervisor call me, person in charge of some of these folks, and just said, "Now, Sean, this isn't right." They mentioned a thing called idle time, the time they punch in, and that's getting off the program. It's messing up because the supervisor said some of those guys that's looking like they have a lot of idle time, that's the guys some of them are really busting their tail. So I hadn't heard back from Chris. Have you heard anything about that?
Yes, I have. If you want to do the update in public, we'll do that. Or if you'd like to do it in private.
Well, it's
up to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, we did get your letter. We did do some investigation. Out of 140 people or 125, most of them were doing it right. There were 22 individuals that we had trained and retrained, and for whatever reason, just it wasn't happening the way that management needed it to. So we asked Chris to look into that, and out of the 22, he decided that he should reverse 3 of those, that the other 19 were met the standard for the write-up.
So he reversed,
the first week there was 22.
He reversed 3.
Yes. The first week there was 22, and I believe the next week there were only 4. So our idle time is up to 80% over the last 3 weeks, which are not our idle time, our production time is up to 80%, which is the first time in recent history that's happened. They produced more in the past few months than they have in recent years, and so
you think that's due to the write-up.
It's well, those only occurred in the last 2, and the productivity is up. So we feel like that most of the employees addressed the issue, and
so he was able to reverse 3.
He reversed 3,
right. And
so that left 19, and they reviewed all those, and he felt like they were justified.
Now, is Chris, is he at Stillwell? Does he stay there?
He doesn't stay there all the time, but he's there.
How often do you think he's there?
I couldn't tell you. But he worked with the people there.
Okay, I'm here not very often, but like I said, I've got a supervisor, and you know, Chris places supervisors, or someone does, and I don't pretend to know everything about this computer software, but I've got 20 folks that are, and I see some of these names in here, and there's something not right. Now, for Chris to come in, however often he comes in and looks around, I don't think that's sufficient for these folks.
Yeah.
There's a supervisor that's there. There's a supervisor that's there, you know, saying there's a big problem and it needs to be
there's not a big
addressed.
problem. There is a problem, and we've addressed it. Productivity is up. The Cherokee management there at the
right. I know the history, but I'm saying on these folks here,
the only people that received a write-up are people that were in excess of 5.5 hours of idle time.
Chris had the final say?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that's the way it is.
That's the way it is.
Right now, I guess.
Yes, I mean,
but it's you know there's 20 folks, and you know I know, but I'm recognizing some names here that it's a computer that
they
a lot of folks
those and
aren't.
they reversed them.
Right.
The ones
Three of them.
3 of them. The others they felt were justified.
So Chris had the
final
say so. Does the supervisors have any?
He visited with the people at Stillwell to come to that conclusion.
Well, I'm not satisfied with that, and that might not mean a hill of beans, but there's folks down there, and a computer saying that they need to be written up, and I've got enough information here that just Chris coming down, looking around, then going back somewhere else, it's not sufficient enough for me. But
I can assure you that didn't happen. Chris conducted a thorough investigation, as we always do. And I appreciate you bringing it to our attention, because 3 of them needed to be reversed.
Well, good. That is good.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, would you give us a brief summary of that? Not right now, but maybe in an email?
Sure.
And just send it to Gail.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, we're very proud of the progress that's been made at CNI over the last year and a half. The employees have been great and receptive. Yeah. Things are looking better. This summer, we'll have a little lag time there between contracts finishing and contracts starting up. Whatever lag time might be there, we'll do the maintenance that we do and training that's necessary and things like that. So
don't want to see any proprietary information, but just give us a little.
Yeah,
look into the idle time. That's what they're having trouble with.
They're all allowed 8 hours of idle time, which means they're not billing their time to a contract. And the only people that received a write-up were those that were in excess of 5.5 hours. So those 5.5 hours allow for the
What about the folks that were going to be written up? This idle time, they're getting finished with one job, and they're either waiting on another job to come up, and that little time in between
They're
there
around 5.5 hours per
idle
week
time
for that.
And
they get, which is essentially 25% of the work week, if my math's right. So we've come a long ways. We've got a long ways to go, but I guarantee you they're going to get there.
And it's on the backs of those employees, for sure.
Well, not sure what you mean by that. We expect them to follow the rules.
That's working there.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, absolutely.
But I'd appreciate an update, like the speaker said, and I wasn't satisfied with the business lesson that Chris tried to give me on the phone.
Well, Chris does a great job, as does all of our Cherokee management. They've helped turn Stillwell C&I the right direction, and I'm very appreciative of their efforts. And we've got 125 to 130 people over there that follow the rules and do things right. And
so these others,
we will work with the ones that are having trouble, and we have.
Okay. I don't believe those others are not doing things right.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Councilor Lake.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sean, I've had a couple of complaints. I'm not sure they're really complaints, but from artists, and they're wondering about the process with the artwork at the new clinic and the new casino. There's apparently a company called PSI that they're having to go through, especially I think it's called the flat work. I guess that like paintings and textiles. Yeah. And I'm not an artist, so bear with me a little bit. And so they're dealing with PSI and they're not getting selected, or they're not getting notified that they've been turned down. Okay. And who is PSI and when did we start doing this, I guess is my question.
Okay. Well, PSI is a procurement company. It's a Terrell company. They've helped with procuring a lot of the furniture, fixtures, and equipment at the casinos, and then they were selected to do the same for the clinic. That's a massive effort to get all the purchase orders out and things like that, and they specialize in that. So to your point, Dick, the group asked them to help with the art procurement. It's a huge undertaking, and so far there have been 2 bids on that. Bid 1 was September of 18. The bid called for 80 pieces that had a certain size and 14 of another. 190 people's or 190 paintings were received from 25 different artists. The art committee met on September 13th and selected the pieces that they wanted to select. All pieces submitted were accepted as bids, and 83 out of 190 paintings were selected in that first go-round. 20 out of 25 artists' pieces were selected. So 25 artists submitted, 20 had pieces selected. Bid number 2, which was again the flat art bid and 3D art for that facility, was submitted, was asked for November 18th of last year, and the deadline to submit was February the 7th. The bid called for 80 pieces with a maximum of size of 30 inches by 48 and 26 3D pieces. So there's about 106 requests for pieces to be procured. 466 pieces were received from 63 different artists. There were 3 artists whose work was not accepted for the bid because it was culturally inaccurate. The art committee met on February the 18th to select the pieces. 108 out of 466 pieces were selected for the larger size, and 48 out of 63 artists had pieces that were selected in the smaller size. Our future bids that are coming out will be framing for art purchase number 2, framing and matting for the photographs and digital art, shadow boxing for the National Treasure artifacts, and a spiral staircase tile project printing. So there's been a lot of work done. A lot of the selection, or all the selection, was done by the whatever the committee is that's over that for the clinic. And unfortunately, there were a few artists whose, for whatever reason, piece didn't get selected. But
is this the first time we've used PSI for artwork?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think it is, and that's my question. Who are they, and why? When we did the clinic expansion, there was a lot of artwork selected.
Yeah. I think all
and Molly and Gina and all of them handled that. So I think the complaints are with PSI and the back and forth and calling those persons and sending emails and the digital formats, and I think that's where our problem is.
Well, there could be some communications in that. It's a massive project, the biggest art project that has been undertaken to date. And the reason they use PSI is it overwhelmed our group's ability to manage that. So we brought in a third party that was already working on the clinic, that was a tarot vendor, to help with the navigation of that.
Do you know who owns the company?
I do not know.
Who's the tarot?
I don't know. Well, it's easy to find out, but I don't know their name.
Well, you knew all this other, but you don't know the name of the person that owns the company?
I do not. PSI is the name of the company, and they're a tarot vendor.
And that's short for something probably. Do you know what the full name of the company is?
I do not know what the full name is.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Councilor Walker.
Hey, Sean, what's the protocol to go tour CNI?
The protocol is during an election process, no one running for office can tour the facility. That's the policy.
Okay. I was told you had to go through the AG's office.
Well, if the AG tells us to do something, we're certainly going to do it. Our company policy is to try to keep the politics out of the business.
Okay. All right. The next question is the gaming compact that was passed in Arkansas. Where do we end up with the investment we got over there in the compact?
The investment that we've got over there was the initial investment to take the fourth license out of Sebastian County, Fort Smith, and move it east. It was moved to Pope County, which is about 70 miles east of Fort Smith. So that's where it stands. The Arkansas Racing Commission is adopting rules. I think May 1st they'll begin accepting applications for casino license. As we've discussed in here several times, Polk County does not want a casino, and so they're still resisting that.
Yeah, that's all I have, Speaker. Thank you.
Good. I would recommend council members, if you have not been, if you're not in election year, go tour CNI. Go see what we have there. It's an awesome, hands-on. We've been in existence for how long, Sean?
40-something years.
40-something years. When I got Eamon Baker and I were on the council back in the 80s, 80% of our workforce were women, and a lot of them were the sole breadwinners of their family, and didn't make a whole lot of profit, folks, but it's always been a place where we try to create jobs. And it's a lot of the stuff like Desert Storm, some of the tanks and some of the weapons that were used were made right there by our own people there at CNI. It's really an awesome place to see. Not to campaign, but to go visit and just look for yourself, because that's who we are. That's part of what we are. So anyway, anybody else?
Speaker, I got just finish up follow-up if I could.
Buzzard's got the, Councilor Buzzard.
Sean, just a quick question. back to the artwork. Do you know who the committee is? Are they local people that select the art?
Well, I do. I don't know their names. I can tell you who it's made up of, I believe. I think the art committee is made up of some people from administration, from the health, and Gina and Molly, some of that group.
So we do have some people that has some expertise in culture.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all over that part of it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
They've done the clinics, but this is probably just a big undertaking that, yeah.
Massive.
And this is a Tarot certified.
The procurement. That's all they're doing is sending the paperwork in and out. Yes.
Okay. All right. Councilor Critton, let's finish this up.
I just, like I said, I'm not in there day in, day out. I hear from these folks, but I want to there's some here. I want to let their thoughts, because I've got more than those 3 that got overturned. But I clocked in and out MOs all day. Every time I do, it puts me in idle time because I get up and get a kit. Sometimes the computer goes down. We won't know it till we are done. If it kicks us off our MO, we can't help it. I'm not going to read all these. Production manager told us not to clock 2 projects. It was causing errors. Here's one from an old cousin of some of us here that we were written up for our utilization a couple of weeks before the write-up. We were told by the program manager not to worry about clocking into projects, just MOs. We were going in and out of work orders and projects so much we were causing our tablets to mess up. It was taking 2 to 3 hours to get our tablets back on track. This was idle time. All we had to clock into was our finals and flags for in process. We can't control how much work we get. We are not like production. We're off and on MOs, but we depend on flags and finals for work. The boss knows this. He wrote us up one time before. Let me do a couple more of these. I want what they have in mind here. I was wrote up for something that I feel is not my fault. We have a computer system that is 2 years old and it still messes up, but we get the blame. We're always getting kicked out of the system. It takes almost a day to get back on. If we get wrote up, those times we will be terminated. I believe the write-ups are unfair because we are clocking in and out of work orders all day. So the time in between getting off and on work order and getting on another work order is adding up by the end of the week, plus the system goes down a lot. And it even kicks us out of the work orders, and we don't find out until we try to sign on an operation, which could be 5, 10, 20, even 30 minutes. So I don't think I deserve a write-up. Then this is a letter to one of the supervisors there, but it's just things like that I'm glad Speaker wants to get us all kind of tuned into what's going on. But there's more than this. There's more than those 3, and you and I know in the past that just a little more checking might save somebody's job.
Totally agree with you.
Thank you.
The other thing that'll save it is if they'll follow the rules.
Well,
and
that's true. That's true in every situation.
In Chris Moody.
Well, I've got full confidence in these names right here. So we're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle. That's where my confidence lies. So thank you.
Anybody else? Good report. Okay, next, old business, none pending, new business. Councilor Vasquez, would you take the first one?
Yes. This is a resolution recognizing the volunteer work of Jose Acala on the removal bike ride. Move for this approval.
Got a motion? Second. You got a second. Any discussion? Is Jose here? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. You have anything to say?
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure an honor and a pleasure to serve riders of the removal ride. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
If you would come down, I think we're going to honor you in the Cherokee way. But we appreciate all that you do for our youth. This program has helped so many of our students, and I know your volunteer work, and I've had nothing but positive raves about how you contribute to helping our people get there and back.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good job, Deputy. Me and you are up next on the bike.
This is the first crop of.
Have you got
Oh, really?
our outfits figured out?
Yeah, they kind of, we got them kind of loose to spandex, see-through.
Basketball shorts.
That's what I would, that's,
Knee-highs.
Sure, yeah.
These are the people that retraced the Trail of Tears on the bike ride from North Carolina. And Deputy and I have been wanting to do this, but we can't get the right shorts. If they could make something maybe with ribbons on it, like old ribbon shirt, and a little bit more baggy, you know, maybe so, Deputy. But right now we just hadn't got there. Maybe long handle bottoms or something. I don't know.
I need to hurry. I'm getting first.
Well, I hear you on that. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Next we have Mr. E.O. Smith, council member. Would you take item number 2?
A resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus equipment to Vine Peace Center in Sequoia County. Put this in form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Councilor Crittenden, would you take number 3?
It's a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus equipment to Mid-County Community Organization in Adair County. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Councilor Shambaugh, you got item number 4.
This is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus equipment to Oaks Community Organization in Delaware County. I put that in the form of a motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Councilor Duncan, you want to take item number 5?
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus equipment to Zion School in Adair County, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay. Councilor Lay, you want to take item number 6?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Warehouse to donate surplus equipment to Nowita Cherokee Community Foundation in Nowata County. Move for its approval.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. The ayes have it. Councilor Austin, would you take item number 7?
Yes, this is an act amending Legislative Act 21-18, authorizing comprehensive capital budget for fiscal year 2019, Mod 3, and declaring an emergency. I put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Councilor Taylor, would you take item number 8?
This is an act amending Legislative Act 22-18, authorizing the comprehensive operating budget for fiscal year 2019, Mod 5, and declaring an emergency, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. I need a motion to amend. Got a motion to amend the agenda. Got a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, ayes have it. Councilor Buzzard, you want to take item number 9?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The resolution a resolution authorizing the Bureau of Indian Affairs to revise and update the Cherokee Nation's inventory of tribal transportation facility. I put that in the form of a motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Any announcements to my right? Councilor Buzzer.
Yes, I just want to apologize to the Cherokee people for missing 2 tribal council meetings in a row, January and February, due to some health reasons. But I just want them to know that I take my job seriously when I'm elected to the tribal council. Also want to recognize my wife, Cynthia, and thank her for taking care of me for the last 2 months. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? To my left. Any announcements?
I would like to say something.
Yes, Councilor Taylor.
I have got a form to pass down. In the Rules Committee meeting a couple of weeks ago, Councilor Walkingstick made some allegations that my family owned a building that was renting it to Cherokee Nation Career Services. I went to the courthouse and pulled the warranty deed on it. It was sold in 2002 to a company. I don't even know these people. I've never owned this building. Nobody in my family owns this building. Nobody in my family is a party to the contract between Cherokee Nation and the person that owns this, and CMB. And if Councilor Walkingstick had called Career Services, had gone to the courthouse, or had done a FOIA on this, he would have known that the allegations were false. But instead, he chose to slander a fellow council member. And that is reckless behavior, and it should not be tolerated. The Cherokee people deserve better.
Hey, Speaker, can I rebuttal to that really quick?
Yes, we're not going to go real long in this, but go ahead, Councilor.
Okay. I did the research as well, and it wasn't Janice's husband that owned the property. It was her brother-in-law that owned the property, and the property was sold in 2015. And so with the CMB ethics, that a CMB board member cannot have any immediate family doing business with the Cherokee Nation. And so that's all I have. Thank you.
May I speak to that?
Sure.
This warranty deed is dated 2002. That is when that property was sold. So tell me who in the Mays County Courthouse told you that property was sold in 2015, and I will go talk to them.
I pulled the deed up myself, and I'll distribute to the council. And so, is it? I'm trying to think of your brother. What's your brother-in-law's name?
My brother-in-law is named Bruce Taylor.
Bruce.
He built that building in about 1990. He
right.
sold it in 96, sir.
2015.
He did not.
He did.
Okay. Just make sure you have your due diligence when you come and want a percent. That's all I can say to you is make sure you got your facts straight. Councilor Warner.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and second to adjourn. We are Aguiosi.